Yes, I am up before dawn. Yes, I am releasing these videos on a staggered schedule and shooting them in a binge because, hey, it works. In keeping with the prior video, I'm going to start off with answering a question about my hair because people ask. No, not highlights. That's gray. Yeah. I'm quite a bit older than a lot of guesses seem to place me at. I do remember President Carter. So, moving right along. A few, really one subject that keeps coming up in some of these discussions, and it's a bit of a hobby horse of mine. So maybe it would be best to just get it out of the way in the form of, this. Subjective. Okay. Okay. I'm aware that there is a colloquial use of the term. I am aware of that. I am painfully aware of what that colloquial use denotes. I understand that most of the time people use objective to mean, for want of a better term, awesome true. Objective truth is awesome true. It's super duper true. It's like totally rad true. Usually they mean that it is demonstrable, empirically verifiable, although when they use, most of the time when the word empirical comes up, it's not being used in a sense any stricter than the word objective. Like I do frequently encounter people referring to abstractions as empirically true. You know, like mathematical principles as empirically true, like 2 + 2 = 4 as an empirical truth. Yeah, ouch. And on the other side of the coin, subjective, colloquially, is generally used to mean, personal perspective or personal interpretations. In that, that kind of wishy-washy. We all have our own truth, sort of, kind of way, and that's not okay. At least in the realm of philosophy, but even if we're just being modestly strict linguistically, just modestly strict, that's not. Neither of those words mean what they are frequently used to mean. And I understand that language changes over time. This is not an evolution, in my perspective. This is people being lazy. That's all. That really is all. It is kowtowing to a contemporary epistemological hierarchy that puts objective truth up here, subjective truth down here, and then, after placing them, defines them in such a way that that placement makes sense. That's why I think it's lazy. You build the hierarchy, and then you define the things based on their position in the hierarchy after you've placed them in the hierarchy. That's lazy. Objective, and here's why I find this baffling, is we don't have to mine deep into the etymology of these terms to uncover kind of their more strictly linguistic, their more strictly traditional meaning, or their etymologically founded meaning, or their the way that they're generally used in the context of philosophy. We don't have to work that hard. Subject, object. That's it. That really is it. Subjective, that which pertains to the subject in a subject-object relationship. Object, that which pertains to the object in the subject-object relationship. That's all. That is all. When we talk about truth, or knowledge, or information, or data, or, we are always talking about that which is most experientially and epistemologically related to the subject. Because no matter how hard I stare at a stone, it will never gain awareness of itself. The object in the subject-object relationship will never have knowledge, will never have information, will never have data. I can make subject, as a subject, I may make observations of the object. And my perceptions, my observations are object-oriented. They're directed toward the object. But those impressions themselves are not contained within the object. The information is not contained within the object. The measurements, the chemical data, is not contained within the object. Those are contained within my observations of it. Now, if it sounds like I'm being pedantic, well, one, it's entirely possible that I am, but it needs to be it is worth bearing in mind that there have been times in philosophical history where it was seriously proposed that the information within a thing was contained, that the information of a thing was contained within the thing. That the metric measurements of weight, volume, and its relative proportion and dimension were in some cosmic language inscribed within the thing itself. And that cosmic language just happened to significantly coincide with the languages that human beings use to describe it. You see where we run into some problems here. That's one of the, this road leads us in some pretty peculiar directions. The other is that, and this gets really ugly really fast, so I'm sorry. When we start talking about knowledge as being contained within the object, we have removed self-skepticism from the process of inquiry. We have made ourselves the attuned recipients of scientific revelation. There is no revelation in science. And the second that we remove self-skepticism, the self-skepticism that keeps our claims as small as possible, that keeps our descriptions as discrete as possible, and keeps our inferences in a section clearly labeled as inferences. The second we step out of that, we have, whether we're aware of it or not, we are participating in the creation of a mythos, specifically the metaphysics of a mythos, which does contain a godhead. We are at that point. Well, some of my friends are going to love this criticism coming out of my mouth. We're Neoplatonists at that point. Attuned receptors to transmitted information, that there is a language of the cosmos, and that this language has imprinted itself on us in such a way that it is more directly translatable and more directly correlatable into translinguistic, transcultural, and transpersonal terms. It is a kind of information that functions unlike any other sort of information. It is miraculous, perpetually miraculous. And while I don't have a fundamental allergy to the concept of miracle, or to the proposition of miracle, in this case, it's fundamentally antithetical, and is a direct sabotage to the processes and to the disciplines that it would seek to enshrine.